Hey, Crunch Academy is back, and as promised, we'll be discussing more about propioreception and the motor system. Okay, so let me begin with an example. If someone asks me to touch my ears by closing my eyes, I'm able to do so, right? If someone asks me to touch my right ear with my eyes closed, I'm able to do it. If someone asks me to pinch my right ears, I'm able to do it, right? So if someone asks me to close my eyes and touch my left index finger, I'm able to do it, right? So proprioception simply means two things. One, our brain is totally aware of the orientation of different parts of our body in space. Space means this environment. Okay. Second one, all those information I receive from the locomotion system is also proprioception. Okay. So proprioceptions are first one, the awareness of orientation of different body parts in space. That is one. Second one is the sensation received from the locomotion system. And what are those sensations received from the locomotion system? When I walk, okay. Have you ever wondered, whenever we walk, we lift one of our legs and the other one is grounded. We never walk with both our legs in the raised from the floor, right? Because if one does so, he will surely disfigure his face, right? So that awareness, while walking, my brain knows one of my leg should be grounded while I lift the other. Okay, one. The second one, when I want to scratch my ears, I simply scratch my ears, right? Without even looking. That is proprioception. The third one, when I am writing, okay, I know currently my right hand is by the side of my body. If I want to touch my right hand, I can touch it like this. Okay. While writing right hand, if I feel some pain, I suddenly turn it like this, right? Because I know my hand is currently in this position. It is not in this position. Okay. These different orientations of our body are clearly perceived by our brain, and it is always alert, like the subtle movements in our position. It is aware about all those things. So that is one is proprioception. Many of you might have been watching this video with while sitting. Maybe some might be watching this video while walking. Okay, some might be standing, whatever it may be. When I ask you to suddenly concentrate on your position, now many of you might be aware of in whatever position you may be currently in. Like those who are sitting, they might be crossing their legs, they might be keeping their legs wide. Okay, but till this point you were not aware of those things. But when I asked you to concentrate on your sense of position, you became suddenly aware. Okay, fine, now I'm crossing my legs, or now I am keeping my legs wide apart, or I am now crossing my hands, or I am currently sitting in a bent way, now I need to sit straight. All those things. Okay, now you are currently aware of all these things, right? So a minute before you were not aware of any of these things. So a special area in our brain, if the information reaches that part of our brain, we become conscious. Okay, this is happening to me. And if it doesn't reach there, we might not be conscious about it, but still it happens. Okay. And can anyone give a guess of what that particular site is or particular area is? It is the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex, if any information reaches up to the cerebral cortex, you become aware of that particular sensation or that feeling. Okay, or you become more conscious about it. Till then, if the information doesn't reach the cerebral cortex, you won't be aware of what is happening. Okay, so such examples can be your peristalsis. Okay, you are not aware of it because it doesn't reach your cerebral cortex. What does peristalsis mean? The movement through which our food reaches our stomach from our mouth. Okay, that contractile movement. If this is a esophagus, it moves like this in a way of different waves. So the next thing that happens with our consciousness is our blood pressure. Okay, it is always being fluctuated and it is always kept in the normal range by our body, and we are not well aware of it, right?
So any sensation that reaches up to the cerebral cortex, then only we will be conscious about that particular sensation. Till now we have learned about the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, the sensory part of the peripheral nervous system, different types of sensations, different areas from where these sensations come from, and all this stuff. Now we'll be talking more about the motor system. And what does the motor system do? As told earlier, the motor system, it carries the motor information. And what is the motor information? Motor information are the instructions of the brain to different organs or different parts of the body to execute a task depending upon the sensory information received. Okay. For example, let us consider the same biryani example I stated. I have a tasty, aroma rich biryani in front of me. Okay. The decision to whether eat it or not to eat it, it is under my will. Okay. Whatever I choose to do, the second thing that happens is that my brain receives a signal through sight and smell. It processes it, integrates with my past experiences, and understands that okay, this is something that is favorite for him. And thus, what happens? It instructs the salivary gland to produce more and more saliva, as part of which my mouth starts watering. It instructs the stomach to produce more and more gastric juices so that it can aid in digestion and make me feel hungry. Okay, and thus that burbur sound in my stomach. So, in the first part, my decision whether to eat it or not to eat it, it is totally under my will. Yeah. So, those actions which are under my will, for example, the example of eating that biryani or not to eat the biryani, or to write or not to write, to walk or not to walk, to see or not to see, all these actions are under my will. Yes. So, these actions which are under my will, or these motor sensations which are under my will, are referred to as the voluntary motor actions or voluntary motor sensations. Okay, now the second part of the story. My mouth starts to water, my stomach produces more gastric juice, and I feel hungry. All these stuffs that happen without my knowledge, or these things are not under my control. And the example is, if I eat the food, whether to digest the food or not to digest the food, it is not under my will. It happens naturally. These actions which are not under my control are referred to as the involuntary motor sensations. These voluntary motor sensations are also referred to as equal to the somatic motor system, and the involuntary motor system is referred to as the autonomous motor system. Autonomous motor system can further be divided into two categories. One is the sympathetic nervous system and the other is parasympathetic nervous system. Or it can also be called as the sympathetic outflow or the parasympathetic outflow. Okay, I'll explain why it is called the outflow. Now, you have to keep in mind that both the sympathetic as well as the parasympathetic outflow, they are always active in our body. Both of them are active in our body. It is not like in a particular instance, the sympathetic outflow is switched off and the parasympathetic is active, or the vice versa. It is not like that. Both of them are always active in our body. The difference is that depending upon the external environment or the internal body environment, this sympathetic or parasympathetic outflow increases, and it totally depends upon the situation. For example, the sympathetic outflow is referred to as the flight or fight response. The flight or fight response. It simply means that whenever there is a stress within our body or in the outside environment, example, if there is a big dog there and it looks me in a fierce way, it starts to bark at me and it starts to rush towards me, what is the natural response I will show? I will start to run, right? At that particular point, your heartbeat will increase. You can feel your heart beating faster, and you will run with all your might. Doesn't depend if you are an athlete or not an athlete. You will run as fast as you can, right? At that particular moment, you won't feel hungry. You won't feel to urinate. You won't feel the urge to to eat or drink or whatever. The only thing that will be in your mind is to run away and escape from this stress. So in this situation, the dog is the stress here, right? Similarly, whenever there is some stress in our environment or within our body, stress within our body means any sort of infection or any sort of malignancy. All these are different types of stresses within our body. If there is something abnormal happening in the environment or within our body, the sympathetic nervous system is the one that is getting activated. Okay. And on the other hand, whenever there is no stress in our environment, there is nothing to worry about. When our body is also normal, there is nothing, no infection or nothing. There is no stress at all within the environment or within our body. The parasympathetic outflow is much greater than sympathetic nervous system. It is during the parasympathetic outflow we feel the urge to eat, drink, or it is that time where our food is being digested. We the usual routine of digestion and going to poop and all those things happens. And it is the parasympathetic outflow we can feel relaxed, we sleep, and all those stuffs. Okay, so both the systems are always active in our body. It's just the scenario or the situation in which currently we are standing, or the situation within our body that evokes one response higher than the other. Okay, I think I have made myself clear about the classification of nervous system. If you have any doubts, please do comment. I'll try my best to answer all those. And that's it. We'll be talking more about this in the later videos. Cheers and have a nice day.